All right, so we are live and ready. I'd like to firstly welcome everyone to the Go Higher series. We're here to have a fruitful discussion. We're going to have a lot of fun today. And today's edition, rather, for the Go Higher webinar series, it's student money management. So we'll be talking to two exceptional panelists so we can learn a little bit about money management. So while we await, the joining of our guests, I'd just like to say thank you guys for being here. I'm your host for today, Brithney Clarke. Usually in my day capacity, I am the online reporter producer at Nationwide News Network, but today I'm just your host, and I'll also be learning alongside you guys who will be here to join for this webinar. All right, so I'm going to be introducing our two guests, or two panelists for today, Anna Palomino, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Carson Stewart. Right, so I'm going to be introducing Carlton first. So Carson Stewart, the financial coach, financial service specialist, and marketer. Carlton has over 15 years experience in the financial services sector, where he specialized in retail and corporate debt management, and he is currently the country manager at Carib Cash Jamaica Limited, the largest microfinance company in the Caribbean. He has recently launched his new podcast series, Let's Talk Money with Carlton, which airs live on Instagram and YouTube. And Carlton can be found on IG at Carlton G. Stew. Now, Ms. Palomino, the money coach, serial entrepreneur, and author. Anna has built her brand as a specialist in wealth advisory and money management. She's also the author of two books, The Big Bad Book of Everything and My Amazing Book of Everything. Now, these are both available for purchase at annapalomino.com. That's ANNAPALOMINO.com. And you can find her on YouTube as well as, or rather at Anna Novia, that's Novia, and on IG at Anna the Money Coach. So just, a virtual round of applause for our panelists for today. So just to break it down for you guys, give you a little bit of what to expect. We'll be having 3 segments, and the discussions will really surround, money management, budgeting, and all of that. So segment 1 will be about loans. So let's talk loans, loan management best practices. Segment 2, make it stretch, budget management principles. And segment 3, make it grow. And this is saving and investment tips. So lots of important information here for us today. And then we'll be taking some questions that were fed to us through social media. Now I'm going to invite Carlton and Anna. If there's anything that you think our audience needs to know, you can add it. So I'll start with you, Anna, since your mic is open. Anything you want to add, or anything what you expect to provide throughout this service today?
Well, the primary thing I'd like to say is that I'm so excited to be here. I mean, when I realized that the Ministry of Education is reaching out in this area, which is personal finance, it made me extremely excited. Mm-hmm. This is a personal mandate of mine, which is to assist people with financial education. I want to make a dent in financial literacy in Jamaica. So I am super excited to be here. I'm hoping if you guys have questions, please ask the questions. Don't just have the questions, but you're shy, so you don't ask them. Carlton and I are here to assist you with any personal financial question that you may have. So that's it, Brithney.
Thank you, Anna. And Carlton, anything from you?
Well, I'm going to ditto what Anna said. I'm excited to be here. Whenever I get a chance to speak on the area of personal finance, especially to younger persons, I'm excited because if I knew then what I know now, I would have been rich. You couldn't talk to me. Rich. So as such, I want to empower so many young persons and not so young to be educated financially, so they can live financially free lives. And so young persons, older persons, if you have any questions, don't feel free to ask, throw out your questions. And Anna, the expert, and Carlton, the other person, will be happy to help you. All right?
Well, I think you're both experts, so I think that's the whole reason.
I would agree with that.
Panel, yes. So we're gonna be having a lot of fun for the next few minutes, and we're gonna start off with segment 1. Let's talk loans, student loans, car loans, credit cards, right? So first of all, we're in the middle of a pandemic. That's like the big elephant in the room that we must address. So I just have to commend J-TEC for this forum, because it's really necessary now more than ever for us to know how to manage the money. For those of us who may be employed still, yes, and those of us who are possibly unemployed and searching for jobs, or just searching to find ways to make the little that we have to stretch, right? So with regards to student loans, car loans, and credit cards, people still have to pursue an education. People are probably, looking to move on to a new car. And credit cards, I myself would love to hear the details about credit cards. So I'm going to start off with the question: what are secured versus unsecured loans? I can open the floor to Anna first.
Okay, so I would like to explain unsecured loans first. Unsecured loan is pretty much the banks, and I explain using analogies a lot and examples, because I find that's how people understand. They understand better using that. So an unsecured loan is when you approach the bank, you'd like a sum of money, you don't have any collateral, the bank doesn't request any collateral from you. They simply just say, I'm going to give you this sum of money, just on condition that you agree to pay this sum amount of money every month for a number of years. Once you agree to that, they disburse the loan. As it relates to a secured loan, there is some form of collateral tied to this loan. The bank will say, I'm going to give you this sum of money on condition that you probably give us a title to your car or to your house, or it may even be cash. It can be a cash secured loan. Once you provide this, they'll be able to disperse the loan. You agree to pay a particular sum every month for a number of years. So that's pretty much what the difference is. I think we lost Brithney. I think, yes, she's gone. Perhaps you can explain, Carlton, what in your opinion secured loans are.
Yeah, what I want to add to what you just made mention of, to the options for the secured, you can also provide something like a guarantor, because whilst it's unsecured, a lot of companies find it a little bit better or safer if you have somebody to join with you, number one, as a co-applicant, or somebody who can be a guarantor to that same facility. So that's kind of like a hybrid, because you don't provide a physical security, physical collateral, but somebody stands like an surety to you, to the transaction. So that also is an option that persons can think of too, or know about also.
Okay, good. All right, so I got kicked off slightly, but I'm back. And we're going to move in now to the key loan aspects. So firstly, the repayment duration, right? What do we consider when we're thinking about repayment duration? I know for some loan agents, they tend to do where you can select your repayment period, where you can say, okay, you need 10 months to repay and all of that. But is this something to consider? Is it better to get the money, paid off first, or do we take the time and pay off over time?
Well, it depends on your situation. It depends. If you're in a situation where you can't afford to pay off a loan, then go ahead and pay off the loan. Alternatively, if you can't afford it, or you, upon the point of taking out this loan, you realize that, I can only afford $10,000 per month, for example, what you could probably ask for is a longer loan period. Obviously, the longer the loan period, the lower the monthly payment will be. But again, this all depends on your circumstances. It may not be advisable for you to take on a loan with a longer loan term. If you know how to manipulate your portfolio, if you understand how to manipulate your portfolio, you understand implications of taking out a loan with a longer loan term, then perhaps it could work for you. But it's all dependent on your circumstances.
But one key point to add, Anna, once more, and just the nature of lending, the longer the loan is, the longer the repayment term is, the more interest you're going to pay. So if you are thinking of affordability, think also on the longer end of the spectrum. If I borrow $100, for example, and I pay it off in 12 months, I may pay $120. However, if it goes over the 2 years or 3, I may pay $300. So what I borrow now may be double or triple or tripled if I take a longer term. So think about all of that also when you're taking out a loan, especially if it's unsecured, because the rates are generally much higher than a secured facility. So the longer you take an unsecured loan for, is the higher the interest cost will be to you.
Okay. And Carlton, there is a little bit of a trick that I'd like to mention as relates to this. If you have a loan, if you are in the process of taking out a loan and you find the monthly payment to be a little bit high, you could still perhaps ask for a longer loan period. But on condition that you in yourself know that you are not keeping this loan for the full, the full duration. Obviously, you're not going to tell this to the bank, but you know that, all right, I'm taking out a car loan for the next 10 years. I'm not keeping this car loan for the next 10 years. That way you don't have to stretch yourself every month you don't have to commit to this exorbitant monthly payment. You have the option of paying a lower payment, but you can still double up your payments or triple your payments, whatever it is, to clear the loan in a faster time.
Yes. Thank you both. Thank you both for those points. All right. So Carlton, you would have touched on interest payments and penalties and fees, but we're going to talk a bit about the fine print now. What do we look out for when we're taking out different loans? Because different companies come to us with, these simple processes. I know all you need is a TRN and an ID, but what kind of fine print do we need to look out for when we're taking out loans? Like, what are the red flags and all of that?
What kind of fine print? Look out for all fine print, which is why it is fine. Because if it is fine, you will not have a time to read it, or you can't bother to read it any at all. Number one, look at, I know we jump to the interest rate all the time, but look at how the interest is calculated. If it is on the reducing balance, if it's on the add-on, look if it's a flexible rate, if it's variable, for example, or if it's fixed. And these things are important. I've been in the industry for a little while, and with companies having a variable rate, it can be to your benefit because the rate can go lower, but it also can be to your detriment if that rate goes higher. So most banks will provide a variable rate, and it looks as though it is in your favor. However, it can be to your detriment. So check how the rate is calculated. Check what type of interest rate, if it's variable or if it's fixed. If you have a reducing balance method, it means that you're paying less interest each month that you make your payment. So you maybe want to stick to loans on the reducing balance. I recommend loans on the reducing balance for persons who are borrowing. However, you have those loans that are fixed. You pay a fixed interest over the life of the loan. Chances are, it will be more expensive than interest on the reducing balance. Check also for your fees. What are your processing fees, your admin fees? You have companies with admin fees, processing fees, commitment fees, the credit reporting fee, borrow from me fee, come back to me fee, all type of fees that are wrapped into the loan. Don't be afraid to peel away the layers of the loan. And if you ask a question and they refuse to give an answer, just step back a bit. Because sometimes when you are hungry for the money and when you are in a rush to get the money, that's what some of the predators like. All right, they won't read anything. Let's shove the loan down your throat. But you as the borrower need to take a step back sometimes. I tell a person, if you're taking a loan now and you want the loan by an hour or two, chances are you're going to make a bad decision financially. Take a step back, peel away the layers to understand. Also, some companies have your late fees. So if your loan is paid late every month, bear in mind you may pay by salary deductions, but the money leaves your salary by the 25th, for example, and it gets to the bank by next month. The bank may charge you late fees, but it's not your fault because your employer took the money from your salary. So you want to ask how that can be facilitated also. You have fees like early repayment fees. So if you pay off your loan before maybe 2 years, the bank may charge you 3 months interest. So you want to know also if there are any fees if you close your loan early. Suppose you win the lotto, even though we're not buying. Suppose you get a partner draw. Suppose you get some dead left money from somebody. You want to pay up the loan a bit sooner than what you thought. So you want to ask these questions, and these are potent questions to pose to your lenders to say, hey, what's going on? And generally, the honest ones will break it down for you. But if you have any ambiguity any at all, just call me. And I'll break it down for you and say, here, what? Move from there, so come over here. So. All right? So we want to check those areas to see.
All right. Anna, you have anything to add to that?
Just to build on Carlton's points briefly, because Carlton covered it all. As it relates to the salary deduction situation, the payment is coming out of your salary, but it's not reflected in time. And so you'll be charged late fees. What I want clients to understand, or just people generally, it's not your fault, but it is your credit report. It is your problem. It's not your employer's problem. It's not the bank's problem. It's your problem. So one practical way you could fix this situation is perhaps you can make one payment ahead. So if you're ahead by one payment, half of the month you'll be ahead and the other half you'll just be on time. That way, you can make sure that your credit report is not being ruined. I know it may be a stretch for some people. I know that not everybody can afford to make an extra payment. But remember, you're supposed to have an emergency fund, right? I'm not remembering if that's something we're going to discuss, but this is something that perhaps you can use your emergency, a part of your emergency fund for, and then you save for the balance later on. But you have to make sure you fix this problem, which is your problem. The next point I'd want to mention is as it relates to early repayment. Now, different institutions have different rules. You may be able to pay off your loan before the determined date, the predetermined date. You may not be able to. You may not be able to make a payment to the principal every month. You may only be able to do it twice a year or once a year. You have to make sure you ask these questions. You have to make sure you know what type of loan it is, because Carlton mentioned again, loans on reducing balance. If you are able to pay on your regular monthly payment plus pay an extra payment on your principal, then the interest will still be lower. The interest will be even lower than it would ordinarily be. But in order to be able to do that, you have to figure out if the bank will allow you. Some banks straight out tell you they're not allowing you to do this every month. You have to do this either twice a year or once a year. SLB though, SLB allows you to do it every month. You can go in, but you have to go in physically. You have to go to the cashier. The last time I checked, I should say, the last time I checked, which is when I wrote the Big Bad Book, you have to go in physically to the cashier and tell the cashier, hey, I want to pay this on the principal. If you just pay 2 payments regularly, the company, the SLB, will just have it as, oh, she paid ahead. It's a prepayment. So you have to look into these things. You have to understand how the loan is calculated. You have to understand how you can pay off this loan more quickly. But at the end of the day, you have to realize once you commit yourself to a loan, no matter what happens, it's your problem. You may be able to fix the problem by presenting a load of evidence to the credit bureau that, hey, this really wasn't my fault. Please investigate. And they will do that.
Yes.
But I just don't want to be no cascas.
Yeah, too much drama. And it might be also time consuming because
time-consuming drama.
You pause to pay the bills, and then while you pause now, you're still accruing interest, and then you're like, oh my God, it's like a drama. So
Exactly.
All right. So with regards now to debt consolidation, because this is another touchy topic here, debt consolidation. What exactly is it, and when should you do it? So Carlton, you can go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Well, a debt consolidation really is acquiring a new loan that's out there. You're taking a new loan to cover your existing debts. So for example, you have several other debts, generally smaller debts or unsecured debts or whatever the case may be. You have several of those debts with several different monthly payments. With debt consolidation, you get a brand new loan, which should be sufficient enough to cover all your existing debts with the hopes of getting a cheaper monthly payment and hopefully a cheaper interest rate. And I separated those two because you can get a cheaper monthly payment with a higher rate because the term is longer. Yeah, and sometimes persons run to get a debt consolidation with a longer term, not realizing that you're paying more interest over time, but because you're surviving now, you feel better now, which is the purpose of a debt consol, really, because you want to have a little breathing room at this point in time. When should you get one? If you can't tell me how much you really and truly owe, if I say to you sitting down in a session, so how much money do you owe? You say, boy, Carlton, I really can't tell you. I'm like, you're in problem. Let's see how that consult can help you. If your repayment is too high, if your payments are too high, I'm like, no, let's look at what the options are. What can you do to bring down the payment if you can't pay off a particular loan? So look at an option for you at that point also. So once I examine those two issues and see how best we can move forward, like here what? Let's look at the debt consult option because that should be able to give you some breathing room to start, pay the loan better and to start saving some money also. Anna, and take care.
All right. So for example, now the student loan, the big, student loan, right? Would you recommend now a debt consolidation for a student loan, or what would you say is the best strategy now to pay off a student loan? Because a lot of people don't want to be up in their 30s, 40s, still repaying student loan because it's going to be taking all their money. But so what's the best strategy now you recommend for a student loan?
You know, it actually depends. Again, I know I said this a lot, but it really does depend on your circumstances. I'll give you 2 examples. If you're in a situation where you only have your student loan, let me just say, sidebar, I don't know why Jamaicans think the student loan bureau, the loans that they give, that they're just so horrible. Because if you sit and you read the terms of the loan, it's not horrible at all. You're more willing to take out a loan from a commercial bank with an interest rate of 18% and you're comfortable with that. But you're looking at student loan if their interest rate of, was it 9%? Is it still 9%? And you feel as if, wow, this is the worst loan in life. It doesn't necessarily have to be if you look at it that way. The loan term is a little bit longer, yes, but for a person just graduating from school, a young adult, a longer loan term may work in your favor because the monthly payment is lower and you'll be able to manipulate your income in that way. But here's the thing. In order to decide whether you should get a debt consolidation loan for this, a few things you have to consider. The first is, are you in a position to manipulate this loan? Do you understand how to manipulate a debt consolidation loan? Do you understand it? Because as I said earlier, if you take out a loan to consolidate this, maybe you're not going to keep this loan for the full duration. Probably your plan from the jump is, hey, listen, I want to take down this monthly payment. Perhaps it's too high for me right now. The payment that student loan tells me to pay is just too high right now. So I'm going to take out a loan, a debt consolidation loan, to probably get a lower monthly payment that will give me some breathing room, as Carlton said. But I'm not planning to keep this for the full 10 years or however long this new loan term is. I'm probably planning to pay this off in 3, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it may be. But you just want some breathing room now. You have to know if you understand. You have to really assess if you understand these things. Again, does this loan allow you, this new loan allow you to pay it off early? How often are you able to pay on the principal? Because you don't want to jump out of the frying pan and jump in the fire. Student loan allows you to pay on the principal every month. Are you going to go into a loan situation where you can only pay once a year, twice a year? That may not work out for you in terms of the interest, the final interest calculation. But the second situation I will give you, I had a client, and I think we lost Brithney, but I had a client, or have a client, who she has student loan from Jamaica. Let's use the figure of $3 million from student loan in Jamaica. But she's working now in the Eastern Caribbean. She got a loan from a bank in the EC, which it paid off student loan. Her monthly payment with student loan was, just using arbitrary numbers, was probably $35,000 per month. But now with her new loan in the EC, she only pays $10,000 per month. So in a situation like that, that is great. The loan term is only 3 years. I don't understand up to now what kind of loan this is, but if you find yourself in a situation like that, it may make sense for you to go ahead with a debt consolidation loan.
Okay, thank you. All right, so finally in this...
I want to add one thing on the debt console of student loan.
Go ahead.
I know for many persons, and I have spoken with a few persons who would have left the university, weren't employed as yet, and the student loan would have piled up because they were not paying because of unemployment, and the loan is now in a bad debt position, which is then forcing them now in a rough corner. For persons who are able to acquire a debt console, whether it's secured now, or some places may give you unsecured depending on the situation, you maybe can take out a debt console at that point in time to help you to regularize, get things back in order, given that the repayment is comfortable enough and the terms are comfortable enough. So if it is that you're in a bad spot like that, a debt console can also help you, because it can contribute negatively to your credit report if you keep on having this bad debt running over and over.
Okay.
Over. So you can think about that you too.
Thank you.
Same thing for your credit cards too. Yes. If you have three credit cards and you have debt on all 3 of them, the interest on your credit card is, the interest on your credit card is not normal. So imagine if you have debt on all 3 of them, it may work out better for you to get a debt consolidation loan and just move on with it for the reason Carlton just mentioned.
Yes. All right. So on the note of credit cards now, which is the final point for this topic, let's talk loans. When should you get a credit card? How do we manage it? And how do we know when it's getting out of control? But first, before we get to that, what exactly is credit? Because we hear this all the time. We hear Jake from State Farm talking about credit and all kinds of stuff. What exactly is credit?
In the grand scheme of things, credit in the financial sector and credit is using what is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to pay it back. It is not yours. So if I give you money that is not yours in the grand scheme of things, we refer to that as credit. So the credit card, you're using money on this piece of plastic that is not your money. It's not your money. You must pay it back. A loan is a credit. So just to answer the term, when you hear credit in the financial service space, is money that you're using which is not yours. So you need to pay it back.
Okay, so like when you go shop and say, credit your 2 slices of bread, that is the credit.
It's the same effect of that your credit card has. A lot of people don't realize that that's how credit card works. You're literally using the bank's
it's
money.
Free money. I'm like,
it's the thing. I've had clients sit in front of me telling me, I understand credit card to be free money, so why wouldn't I use it? Why would I use my own money? Free money where?
It's not your money.
It's not your money.
Wow.
Okay,
So you have to
repay it.
Exactly.
But you have to. Right.
So in terms of management, no, because my misconception with credit cards is that, it just seems like a burden and, oh my God, I'm taking this money and I don't know if I can pay it off and all of that. Like, I was just very confused about it. But I know one bit of advice that I got was that, you don't spend what you don't have and all of that. But what is your advice to persons who are interested in taking out a credit card or who have a credit card and realize, I need to get it together because I can't pay that 45% interest and all of that?
Well,
Anna's going?
Yes. The first thing I would say is, and this is my own strategy. I don't know if it's an official strategy because I don't want Carlton come from me. But what I like to do and what I like to teach my clients is before you use a credit card, transfer the money to your credit card. So before you incur a positive balance on your credit card, make sure it has a negative balance. So let's say you want to purchase something for or you want to pay a bill for $15,000. Transfer $15,000 to your credit card first, and then you use it after. That way, it's a psychological reason. A lot of people, or people probably say, I'm going to use my card now while I'm out because I know I can afford. I know I have the money to do it. But when push comes to shove and it's time to pay it off, somehow you just magically don't have the money anymore. So what I say is transfer the money first. That way, I do have the money. It's there. Then you can pay. You can buy whatever you want to buy, what you were planning to buy. But I don't think a credit card needs to be bad. I think you just need to understand it, especially if you have a credit card that carries benefits. For example, a cashback benefit or flights in terms of miles. Listen, a free plane ticket just by using your credit card. I'm about that life, right? I'm about that life. But it just comes down to you being responsible with it, you understanding how it works, you understanding your cycles, when a bill is generated, when a statement, when it's the statement is supposed to be generated, that kind of a thing. You just have to understand it. If you know, so you don't have no control. If you know, say when you go in a store, you go in there for one pack of elastic band and you come out with the whole store. Nobody go get no credit card, miss. Sir, nobody go get no credit card.
Yes.
Full stop. But it's not. It doesn't have to be bad at all. It doesn't have to be.
So there's the question now where you say, so if you have the cash already, what's the point in using the credit card? Like,
miles and develop credit history.
And
points, okay.
And your points, right? You don't want the free basically.
But Brithney, as Anna mentioned earlier, and I'll reiterate, if you don't understand it, leave it alone. That's the first point. However, if you think you need it, get the knowledge. You have so many persons who are there now. Call Anna, call Carlton. At the cost, and we'll sort it out for you and explain what is happening. Because I can recall when I was about 18, I got my first credit card and I feel important. Something about a credit card, when you get the credit card, it gives you a feeling like, say, listen to me now, I feel so important. And a lot of the banks sometimes gives you a very big limit, and somehow we equate a big limit to how important we are for some strange reason. And when you get this credit card limit, you don't understand. I can recall after the first year of having my credit card, when I checked up on my statement to see how much I paid over the year, I'm saying, but hold on, I don't have that in savings. Why would I have paid a credit card bill in excess of hundreds of $1,000s for a year and I don't have it in savings? Granted, the card was not used to acquire anything of value. One shoes, drinks, one blazer over there, so hot boy something. And I said, listen to me now, Carlton, reel it back in. Because at the end of the day, you know, understand this credit card, cash advance, Anna. I'm going in the ATM, pushing the credit card, bam, 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 bam. Money, I'm like, no, I love this plastic. But
can I tell you, last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Let me tell you, I went on my online thing to do a transfer to my credit card, Carlton, to my credit card. And I made the mistake of transferring money from my credit card. You know how much them charge me? $2,500. $2,500
just for the cash advance.
And guess what? I did not. It's not as if I used the cash. As soon as I realized the mistake, I transferred it back to the card. I still had to pay the $2,500.
So the knowledge is important, guys. Having knowledge of the card.
Important. I was so mad. I derived myself of all the coffee for the week because I'm like, you have to learn.
Oh man. All right. Well, we're gonna be jumping into segment 2 now. But I want to do a quick giveaway because we have 2 copies of Anna's book, The Big Bad Book of Everything, to give away. So I'm going to ask a question in relation to the first segment. I hope persons are listening. And it's for a giveaway of one of the 2 books. I'll give away the other later down. So the question is, what is the difference between a secured and an unsecured loan? And persons can give us the comments in the YouTube with the correct answer. We'll have our, back end checking on that. All right, so we're into segment 2 now, the Make It Stretch segment. And I know Matthew has some graphics to join in when we get into the budget section. But we're going to talk about budgeting tips. Why do we need to budget? Like, what is the point of writing down everything that we spend? Why I need to know where my money goes, So how can a budget help you to better manage your money?
Or do you want to be stagnant in life? It's that simple. If you don't want to be stagnant, you need to budget.
You know where the money is.
You have to budget. If you want to improve your financial standing, you have to know where your money is going. No matter how much you earn, you have to know where your money is going. You need to know how your money is being spent. You need to be aware of your spending habits. So this is actually the first part of budgeting. You have to understand your spending habits. You have to sit first. You have to observe first what's going on, before you can make a budget that sticks. And that's one of my tips, is that don't just make a budget. Don't just get up and say, all right, and I say, we must do this amount of money for bills and blah, blah, blah. Don't just do that. You have to assess what your spending habits are like. You have to see where your weaknesses are first. And then you'll realize that, hey, listen, you see, when you make a budget and you slip, because you will slip. It's just human nature. When you slip, you just remember that, hey, listen, this is the reason. I've been doing this for probably a year, 2 years, whenever you first started budgeting. I can't be making this mistake still. I mean, I'm so far ahead in my mind. Why am I still making the same mistakes? And for psychological reasons, you just probably won't make the mistake again. So I think that budgeting is super important if you want to change your life, full stop. Just plain and simple.
So a lot of persons think that budgeting restricts you from spending, but it actually aids and helps you to know what you're spending on. I mean, you get your salary sometimes at the end of the month, and without budgeting, many persons get paid Friday, and Monday, when bills have to be paid, they're like, but hold on there.
Where the money goes?
Where the money went over the weekend. You want to treat yourself to a nice coffee, yourself to a nice dinner. You pass a shoe store and see a nice way you could treat yourself. And those items were not accounted for. So for me, I want to know how much money do I have? How am I going to spend on the item that I need to spend on? And then it tells me, Carlton, you have money leave over. So guess what? You can treat yourself, treat the kids, treat the wife. But I need to know first, what are the important things that need to be covered so I can be a full-on, proper good man. I'm a good woman for those persons.
Proper good man.
Proper good man.
Take care of all the nice things, the Bridgets and the working bag and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So for this segment now, we have a kind of fun activity, right? And Matthew is going to pull up some slides. So it's called the Balance the Budget Scenario Evaluation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read so persons can see it on the screen. So I'm going to, read out the budget of a particular person. And in this case, each guest will review and provide advice on how they can be, how the budget can be revised to be effective. So for Carlton, you're going to get the student and the recent graduate. And Anna, you will evaluate the young professional. So we'll start with the student. So this is Sean, well, Sean Jr., and he's a student. He's 18 years old. He lives with his parents. His daily income, which is lunch money, is about 800 to 1,000 Jamaican dollars. Now his expenses include, well, it's virtual now, so he has no expenses in terms of travel to get to school. But his breakfast is $250. His lunch is $500. His phone credit is $120. His transportation is $400. And the budget total is $1,270, which leaves a deficit of anywhere between $270 to $470. So he's spending more money than he earns on a day-to-day. How can Sean improve this budget?
Right now, Sean needs a job, a second income.
Yes.
Why is Sean spending more than what he's earning? Number one, Sean to cut breakfast from this. He lives with his parents. So he go boil some porridge in the morning, some toast bread and some tea. So he need to cut that out of the budget because mommy is buying groceries already. So Sean need to cut that out of the budget because currently you can't afford it. The credit, you have Wi-Fi at home. And if you're going in class, you have Wi-Fi at school. And I'm hoping he's not in rural Jamaica where there's no Wi-Fi. So I'm making an assumption here. If he's in areas where there's Wi-Fi, we can cut that out of it and make your calls via WhatsApp call because the 120 a month anyway or per day anyway can't put on sufficient credit. So that is call credit, I'm going to assume. So Sean needs to cut out the breakfast thing and boil some porridge at home, get one egg and bread from out of the cupboard and sort things out. Lunch is essential at this point in time. And if he has to go to school to get something printed and that $400 transaction, that is a necessity. And with that $405 is now within his budget with an extra $100 to spare, which is $500 per week, which is $2,000 per month. Sean can now save from the lunch money. If he wants to add other things, sign up online, Sean, get an online job and start making some more money for yourself and help your parents. Or start a school part-time and work in the day. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Yes, God bless you, Sean. Thank you so much for that advice, Carlton. So if we have anybody who can relate to Sean's circumstance, I hope that advice was helpful. So now we're going to get to the recent graduate. And I'll have Matthew change the slide to the recent graduate. Her name is Jenny P. Yes, Jenny P looking very professional, yes, coming out. And she's a recent graduate. She's 24 years old and she lives with a roommate. Now her single income is $70,000, startup pay fresh out of university. And these are her expenses. So rent, $25,000. Transportation by bus or taxi, $5,000. Groceries, $15,000. Lunch, $10,000. Student loan, $15,000. Utilities to include light, water, and internet, that's $8,000. She doesn't have Netflix. She doesn't use her credit card, it seems. And her data plan is $2,300. So Jenny sounds very much like me right now. And Jenny has a deficit of $10,000. So she's spending again more than what she's earning. So how can we help Jenny to improve her budget?
And the reality is, from what I'm looking at, Jenny is not overdoing anything. And that is a harsh reality of several young persons now who are out of university. They are qualified and employers are giving them $70,000 a month and $80,000 a month. And at 24, I don't expect Jenny to go back home to her parents, go and start life. But it's a harsh reality. The good thing is she's sharing house with a roommate. Yeah, so she's sharing rent apparently. And the rent is not as bad. It's $25,000 a month. I don't know where you can get a proper house for less than that. But maybe Jenny and the roommate can find somewhere for $40,000 and they pay $20 a month. That is a make shift. She can also adjust. I realize groceries is different from lunch. So Jenny now will have to start carrying lunch to work. So she'll raise her grocery bill to maybe $20,000 a month and cut lunch all together. From the grocery that she's buying to $25,000 a month, Jenny P, you have to start carrying lunch every day. And it is okay. Guess what? It is more healthy, less sodium, less time on the road because it's COVID time in these fast food places. So you don't have to get mingled. You carry a nice cook lunch from home. You know what is there. So Jenny will have to now bring some lunch every single day until things improve because the student loan is a must because you need to maintain your payments and you need your light, you need your water, you need internet. She has a data plan, but she has internet at home And I'm hoping that the employer also provides free Wi-Fi, because you maybe can cut off the data plan for a little while if there's Wi-Fi already at home and there's Wi-Fi at the work. You don't need Wi-Fi while you're on the bus, because you don't want to be on your phone and then boy grab the phone either. So put the phone in the bag, Jenny, and just stick to the Wi-Fi at home and at work. Reduce your lunch to 0 and add that extra 5 to the grocery. Start carrying lunch every day and see if you can find somewhere for 40,000 a month where you can pay 20 and your friend Janelle can pay the other 20. And that way you come out of the deficit that you are in and start saving $5,000 monthly.
Nice. Thank you so much, Carlton. And like I said, Jenny reminds me of me, because, I'm fresh out of university too. I'm 23 and, the salary not so hot right now, but it's, so, we're trying to build that. So that was very good advice for me as well. All right. So we're on to you now, Anna, and you are going to evaluate Andre O's budget. So Andre O is a young professional. He's 27 years old and lives with a housemate. His expenses, his income rather, is $120,000 a month, and these are his expenses. So rent, $35,000, transportation via bus or taxi, $8,000, groceries, $25,000, lunch, $13,000, student loan, $20,000, utilities, $15,000, Netflix, $1,332, credit card debt, $15,000, data plan, $2,300. So he's spending $132,632, which leaves a deficit of $14,632. So how can we help Andre improve his budget?
All right, the numbers are a little bit different on screen, but here's the thing. The first thing I said to Andre is Andre, right? Yes, Andre.
Yes, Andre.
Listen, Andre, you need another source of income. ASAP. You need another source of income. And I don't accept the excuse of, I have a 9-to-5 and it's so demanding. There are so many businesses you can start that will not require so much time from you. You can start a business, you can probably spend some time developing a product or a service, something that probably a book or an ebook or a course, an online course, something that does not require time, but you need to get an additional source of income. You have to improve your income. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Andre, they are broth every month. I see my broth, straight through, just broth. First of all, hold on, it's gone.
Come back with Andre, please.
I need to say Andre. Andre is not escaping this.
Yes.
Matthew?
All right, so Matthew's gonna bring up Andre, right? Who is brothing and doing the most.
Right. So doing the most, that's right. So here's the thing now. Let's start with the utilities, because he lives with a housemate, and so I'm assuming that he pays half of the bills, the housemate pays the other half. So you mean for tell me that the two now use up 30 grand worth of utilities? What? No. That needs to be
AC.
Listen, AC here. Go down a bash go buy one fan about AC. Listen, this $15,000 need to be divided by 2. This is supposed to be the total monthly budget for utilities between the two roommates. So Andre would have that reduced to $7,000, I'd say, probably $7,500. The next thing is Andre love him belly, because Andre spent $25,000 on grocery a month, and then him go to work and him spend another $13,000. Andre, you love a belly too much. So we need to reduce. We need to take out lunch completely, and we need to reduce this grocery bill by $5,000, because you can't survive on $20,000 per month. I did a whole YouTube video the other day proving, I even went to the supermarket and proved to everybody that, hey, listen, I spent $5,000 this month on groceries. See here, and I'll tell you all the things, breakfast, lunch, and dinner that I get out of it. So you can survive on $20,000. So yes, man, Carlton, $5,000. I mean, I'll get paper towel and everything tonight. So the grocery can be reduced to $20,000. We're taking out lunch completely. Rent. All right, Andre. I realize him love the broth lifestyle, because if you live with a housemate, it means that you live somewhere where the rent is $70,000, right? We can go find somewhere cheaper than that. We can find. As a matter of fact, it's not a can. You have to. Your income right now demands that you find somewhere cheaper. It demands it. You cannot remain here. If you want to remain here, bring in more money. It's your choice. So we have to reduce this rent. As Carlton said, Andre and Adrian have to go find somewhere else where them can pay, the rent can come down, the rent can be a lot cheaper. As it relates to Netflix, If about this, because at the end of the day, I don't believe in a budget that is just so strict and rigorous and there's no enjoyment any at all, right? I take with the man food, I take with the man AC, so I must can leave him with something. So I feel like I want to leave him with the Netflix. As it relates to the credit card debt, I need more information. I'd like to find out if it's a case that he is using his credit card every month.
Okay, can I come out at 2:05? Can I get 5 more minutes?
Right. So I want to find out if it's a case where he's using his credit card every month, and then at the end of the cycle, he's just given a bill that he needs to pay this 15 grand. So it's an every month thing, or he has substantial credit card debt where, you know, the bank now have him on a payment plan. I need to find out the situation as it relates to that. But these are the student loan. You have to maintain your payment, as Carlton mentioned. This is mandatory. You have to maintain the payment every month. So I would not reduce that. But all in all, what's 8,000 was for the month? Okay. Yeah. All in all, I think what I said, as it relates to the data plan, we can take out the data plan. Mm-hmm. He's gonna have to make a choice. It's either you're gonna keep the Netflix or you're gonna give up the data plan, but you can't have both. Mm-hmm. If you decide you're gonna keep the Netflix, give up the data plan. You hopefully you work somewhere that has Wi-Fi. You already have internet at home. You'll be fine. So it's your choice. But all in all, I'd say if he implements the figures I just gave to him, he should be fine. And he should have money left back to save, to pay off his debt.
Thank you, Anna. All right, good. So with the budget now, the final thing we're going to talk about in this segment is how do we set a budget and how do we stick to it? So Carlton, you can just give us a quick few pointers on how to set a budget and how we stick to it.
Well, how you set it, there's no standard way to set it. What I do for different persons, simply because sometimes they think it's a big, difficult technical thing. You write down how much you earn every single month, and if you have variable salary, you can pick up from what you earned the month before to get a basic idea of what it may be coming out. For most of us, we have a standard salary, and that you get 100,000 every month. You write that down. You have standard bills. So your rent, your mortgage, those things are standard. They don't come up and frighten you. So I don't know why people not paying them either. Because them come every month, you know. These things come every month. Your mortgage, your rent, it shouldn't surprise you. So you write down your rent, $10,000. You write down your light bill, what it came last month, 8,000. And you list all your expenses. What you do after that, you add up all your expenses and you subtract them from your income to see, all right, am I in the red? Am I in the black? Meaning, am I spending money what I'm earning or I'm spending less? If it is that you're spending less than what you're earning, that's where you want to be. Ensure also that in your budget, you are facilitating saving. Ensure you put saving as an expense. Light, water, rent, the kids' lunch money, Netflix, whatever you put in, saving. Your partner, however you are saving, make sure that it's in your budget. However, when you're through, if you're spending more than you're earning, that's where the challenge is. You have two options. Either you're going to cut the expenses or you're going to increase your income. But you can't have it both ways. You can spend more than you earn and then supplement your income with your credit card. Don't go there, son. So you have two options, all right? Cut the expenses or you increase it. Then you ask, how do you stick to your budget? Live within your means. And then you can't stick to your budget. Because if it is that you know that you cannot afford it, oh, in everyone's name, I say something all the time, act your wage. Whatever money I get, act yourself and stay in your lane. I recognize that half the problems can be solved when you act how much you get paid. I know there's a theory that says you must dress and act where you want to go. So if you want to be a nice corporate exec, you dress like a corporate executive. You can do it on a budget also. But my thing is, act how much you are being paid. And in that way, you will live below your means and you will stay on track with your budget. Also, you may need some accountability. So for the persons who I coach, every month, maybe 2 or 3 times every month, I call you and say, are you on track with your lunch? Are you on track with your, they say, boy, Carlton, I think I spend more than the lunch money for the month. I say, here, what? You're going to carry lunch or drink the office coffee and crackers. That's your lunch for the next 2 or 3 days because it needs so much of accountability. So if you know that you're not able to, be accountable, seek help. That's why you have your coaches can help you. You have your gym coach who tell us to do 20 squats. You need people like me and to say, here what? Drink some tea, eat some crackers, bring a tuna sandwich, stick to the budget. We are so consumed only with our physical health, and we want to get the flat stomach, and we want to get, so invest in the coaches. We pay 20,000 and 30 a month. Your financial life needs sort out. Get the coach and get some amount of accountability, guys. Also, my last point on this, for persons who are tracking their expenses, like for example, if I say that I'm going to spend 10,000 a month on lunch, for example, sometimes I put that 10,000 a month and I put it in an envelope, which I know it's 2,500 per week, and I work with only that 2,500 for this week. So if it's done Wednesday, because I'm going to off Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, overnight food going to do it, the office coffee going to do it, peanut and water going to do it, because I went over what I should not have gone over. That can also help you two guys.
Nice, thank you.
Rinse out all of the point, let me know. Rinse out all of them good and proper.
Well, that's good, Anna, because we're gonna be going into the next segment now, which is Make It Grow, and they're talking about savings and investments. So just to note, guys, I may jump off a little bit while you're explaining, but I'll be right back. I'm just doing a little change of location real quick. But with regards to how to increase your income, how to make your money work for you, that kind of thing, when you think about savings and investments. So the question is now, I can barely manage my bills. How can I save? How can I save from nothing, right? And then we'll go a little bit into banking versus stock market, investing, and some investment tips for new investors. So I start with that, Anna. How can you save if really you're already struggling to manage your bills?
The sad reality is that a lot of Jamaicans are struggling to save because, you know, your bills are so exorbitant, because you're not acting your wage. That's the problem. You're not acting your wage. A lot of the times you look at it, that's the problem. Granted, sometimes you have genuine cases where you're just not getting paid enough and you have bills that you cannot avoid, sure. But a lot of the times, it's a case where you have a $15,000 light bill because you're cocked up in an AC. You have the grocery bill at $50,000 because I have to eat steak and broccoli for the Instagram and all these things. You can actually have money left to save and invest if you act your wage, if you live below your means. Now, Carlton said that he made the point that, you know, in order to build a budget, you just tally up your expenses and, well, to assess your position, you tally up your expenses, and if you're living below your means, that's great. I go a little bit further to say, hey, listen, I don't just want you to add up your expenses, and if you're living below your means, we're fine and awesome, let's leave it there. I push you to get your monthly expenses, as in your needs, below the 50% mark. And something I hear all the time, every single time I mention this to a new client, Lord Jesus, Anna, how me forget my bills below 50% of my salary? You're mad. Listen to me, 50% of your salary is what you can afford right now, right? I don't understand for the life of me. You have some people earning $150,000 and their rent is $80,000. I don't understand it. Oh. And then you're gonna tell me, oh, Anna, you know how the housing market stay in Kingston? Yes, I do. But because you want porcelain tile and granite countertop, that's why you look like that. Maybe you see with your $150,000, probably you need a house, you need a housemate, you need a roommate. You need somewhere that is not in Kingston 10 or Kingston 6 or Kingston 8. Mm-hmm. You need to make that sacrifice. You know, maybe you need to live in Portmore. I love Portmore. Portmore is maybe because of this where I come from, Portmore to me is like the best value for money. You get a whole mansion for $5,000 a month. Of course, I'm just kidding. But
okay, well, Anna is exaggerating, guys.
I'm exaggerating. But my point is, you have to act your wage. You have to act your wage with pride. Don't be ashamed of your process. Mm-hmm. You know, you are earning your $150,000 now. You're earning your $100,000 now. You're earning your $120,000 like Andre. This is just for this moment. You have to make sure that you don't remain at $120 for the rest of your life. That's on you. But right now, Andre, he's at 27. He's 27 and he's probably have a whole heap of things going on. He needs to act his wage with pride. When you do that, when you get your bills below the 50%, obviously, if you tally your things now and you realize that your bills reach 70% of your income, I'm not telling you to just I'm gonna do a budget for 50% of my income right now. That will not work. You will not stay on budget because the expenses will come, like Carlton said, like clockwork. It's not a surprise. You still have to pay them, and because it's not in your budget, you're gonna have to find it somewhere, and that's how you end up not sticking to your budget. So when you do that, you will have money left back to save, left back to invest. I recommend 30% of your income going towards investments and savings. If you're, in overdrive, for my Money Society guys, my clients, it's 40% of your income that goes to savings or investments. I don't do the 30 with them. But if you want to slowly ease yourself in, you can start at 30. And so in conclusion, the crux of it is just to live, to act your wage, live within your means, live below your means, I should say. Live below your means and you will have money left to save or invest invest.
All right, so Carlton, I'm going to come in with you now on the point of investment. So how do we start investing and what exactly do we invest in? Do we just buy one of the affordable things as they come out on the market? How do we know what to invest in?
I'm going to talk about the investment question over to Anna, so I don't get in any problems any at all. But I tell my persons, ensure that you're saving first. Because a lot of time, because of how investment was perceived over the last few years, we get very hyped on investments and we don't understand, number one, and persons who are not even saving are only investing. So my tip, most often than not to my clients are establish savings. Do you have savings? You start save already. You have emergency savings, any other savings. Do you have savings? Get that down pat. If you do have the savings and you want to venture into investments now, the first step is open an investment account. That's the first thing I generally tell them. And find a broker or find somebody who will ease you into it. Because what you do find sometimes is that because with financial advisors or persons at these investment houses, they are very target driven. So they don't have time to sit down with you and hold your hand like baby and spoon feed you. But you may find some persons who will help you with that. Okay, you want to understand. Once you do that, I can't tell you what to buy. Anna will do that. Talk to us, Anna.
I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not an financial advisor. And investment advisors are different. So I don't get in any trouble either, just on the record. But what I can add to Carlton's point is that if you don't understand investment, you're just starting, you're just getting into that area, what you could look to products that are based in unit trusts. So for example, JMB has a product called, I'm going to tell you, income
earner?
No, income and
growth.
Income and growth. Right. And what it does is that it trades primarily, actually 100% in the stock market. So you're benefiting from a host of a building filled with investment analysts. You're benefiting in terms of the profit that they're making. You're getting all of that. You're getting the expert advice, but you don't really pay for it. You just contribute your 5,000, your 10,000, whatever you can contribute at that time each month. You contribute that to your account, and they will purchase the shares for you. And I know based on their products, you'd almost think some work at JMB the way we know them numbers, but based on their products, the income and growth, that product does particularly well based on what is going on in the market. The income and growth at JMB works well. The equity multiplier or the Sagicor at Sagicor, they do well. Barita does well. Barita has good products too. But all in all, I'd say start with unit trust. Start with products that are grounded in unit trust. It's like investing, but with training wheels. So you get to benefit in the interim while you learn how to trade. Because here's the thing again. Some people think that once I open an investment account at Barita or Mayberry or SSL, that's it. I don't have to do anything else. I'm rich. All I have to do is just give them some money when I have it and I'm rich. But that's not the case. You may end up at a stellar investment house, but you end up with a broker who don't really business about your thing. Carlton said they are target driven. So if you come with your $5,000 a month time now, and you want your trader to come and initiate contact with you to say, hey, Anna, I think you should buy some shares in this company, that company. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You have to take the time to learn about the stock market, learn how to trade on your own. You can then email your brokers to say, hey, listen, please execute a trade on with this company at that price. Please confirm when it's done. So you'll be in a position to grow your own portfolio, but at the same time, It's not a case where you're waiting to learn and then you start benefiting from that. You don't have the unit trust products working for you already. So that's what I would say as it relates to that. If you want to know what stocks to buy, let me just have to say this very carefully. If you want to know what stocks to buy, the first thing I'd suggest is just examine your own lifestyle. That's the best way to go. Examine your own lifestyle. See what products you support, what services you support, what services you use every month. For me, for example, all of my insurance policies are with Sagicor. So I'd say, all right, I'd buy some shares in Sagicor because I understand how they work. I know how the policies work. My policies are very good. I believe in their growth. I believe in them. So probably I'm not saying John or whoever is on here, I would probably buy some shares in Sagicor. If you go in the supermarket, if you watch the video I did the other day, you see that it's Grace, me take up. Grace this, Grace that, Grace this. If the idea behind it is that if I believe so strongly in this company, there must be many others out there like me, especially if you look at the company and the company has been around for years and years and years and years and years. There must be something to this company. So if you want to start investing, look to your lifestyle, make a list of the companies that you support, that you wholeheartedly support and you believe in. That's the thing. Make a list of those companies, then you cross-reference the companies on the JSE website to see, if they're listed on the stock market. If they are, you can do some more some more analysis to see if you should buy them. And that's where you contact your investment advisor to say, hey, listen, I have an investment plan here in that I want to purchase X amount of units in this company, X amount of units in that company, and blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Based on their advice, from my experience with my clients, when my clients do this, the investment advisors are more willing to assist, because it's not a case where you come to them and say, what shares I must buy? Or can you call me every month and tell me what shares to buy? You come to them with pointed questions. Hey, I think this about this company. What do you think? They'll tell you very quickly. So that's what I'd suggest. That's what I suggest. Obviously, you can buy the book, The Big Bad Book of Everything. There's a whole chapter on investments in that book. Your mic is
sorry about that, guys. Right, so on that note of The Big Bad Book of Everything, I'm going to be doing the second giveaway. Right, so and it's going to be on something in segment 3, which we just did on investments and savings. So the question is, name 3 different types of investment profiles. So this one is a little bit harder, but name 3 different types of investment profiles.
Lord, Brithney, we feel like we want to help them. What kind of question that?
I'll give away one of them. One of them is the unit trust that you mentioned. So you guys have to go do the rest of the research.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's a very good book. It's a book of everything. So you don't have to work for the everything.
Facts.
Yes. All right. So while they dig up for the answers, we're gonna get into some of the questions that were submitted earlier. Please let me know if my background is a little loud. I'm in the office. All right, so I'll pull up some of the questions. So I'll take 2 questions from each of the categories. So I'll start now in the segment 1 when we spoke about credit. So the first question is a credit score necessary in Jamaica? How do I maintain having a good credit score, and what would an ideal credit score be, especially for an age range of 22 to 26? Should I repeat?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I can take that quickly. Is it necessary? The credit bureau is still in the growing stage in Jamaica. So we're not at the mature stage where a credit score is mandatory for every lender. That is not the case. So I don't want to get too obsessed with a credit score, but I want you to understand what's on the credit report. Because more importantly, your lifestyle, your history, how you deal with credit is what is more important. So, for example, for credit Info Jamaica, which is one of the credit bureaus, the highest score is about 900, but a good score is anything 600 and above. However, you can have a bad score, but your history, because of maybe erroneous data, can you know it in the early stage, banks know wrong information, you did do something for a long time, and these things may affect it. For somebody who is fresh out of college and you have never borrowed before, you do not have a credit score any at all. So the bank has nothing to work with, the lender has nothing to work with from a fresh assessment of the situation. How do you start building your credit report? Is by taking credit and repaying it on time. Because the credit report speaks to your character as a person, and banks and lenders are very much interested really in who am I lending to? Not really just a collateral only, because we will lend you if you have it or if you don't have it. We're not so interested about how much you really make, because you can get a loan if you make $1 million or $20,000. But we want to know what your character is, which is how are you handling your debts. So you want to know if it is necessary. Yeah, man, it is. You need to build your credit score. But the number is not so important. So don't get hung up or caught up. You want a 900 or 600, but you want to look at how am I paying my debts, because that's just a better story about who you are as a person. Hope that helps you.
All right, thank you very much, Carlton. So you would have answered the other question that I had about a full-time student getting a credit score, because as you said, if a student is not on student loan, they wouldn't necessarily have any history. So they, they could explore like a student credit card or something of the sort.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we're now in the budget, investment, and savings section. And I'll ask 2 questions from here as well. So if I should exceed my budget with expenses that weren't accounted for, what are some necessary contingent plans that I can take to prevent this?
That's fine. Okay, so I'll take that question. So the first thing is that, listen, what I want people to understand is that you're human. This will happen sometimes. That is why it's important for you to revisit your budget every single month. That's a problem that people tend to have, is that you make one budget, you set it and you forget it. But that's not the way to go. Now, if you realize that you exceed your budget, the first thing is that you have to find out why. Is this a case where, I just want a belly and I buy too much food? Or I don't know, like I say something on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I have to have it. If it's a case like that, then you know that, all right, the problem is you and you need to reel back. You need some more self-control. You need to reel it back. But what I do for my clients, I don't leave it to you and your self-control and your willpower. I take away your money. That's what I do. So what I mean by that is I set up, let's say we set up this investment policy, that investment plan. I put them all on standing order, automatic deduction. So by the time you get your pay, the money that goes into your bank account is just to pay your rent, your light bill, your water bill, probably leave a little tips for you. And then that's it from there. But if it's a case where you realize that an expense came up that you never foresaw, then really and truly, the only thing you can do is to just make better plans in the future. This happens a lot with annual plans. If you don't take into account the car maintenance that you do twice a year, you don't take into account the insurance that you have to pay, you don't take into account these. But what I say is that you need to take the annual figure, divide it by 12, and you save for it every single month. That too, I take that money away from you too. I tell you, set up another bank account, and we set up an automatic deduction online for this current account to go to that account, and that account for the annual expenses, you don't have access to that, meaning you have to go in.
Debit card.
No debit card. You go in physically once a year, take the money out, go pay your insurance, and you're good to go. But the best trick in the book is to just not have access to your money. Automate, automate, automate. That's it.
Nice. Thank you, Anna. All right. So still in the same category of budgets, investments, and savings. So for some persons, saving doesn't necessarily work because they're kind of breaking even each month. So, what they earn is pretty much what they spend, and it's a cycle of pretty much, the same money rotating each month. So there's no extra, right? And some people are probably a little not so don't really understand the investment thing. So they tend to go for the route of opening a business, right? So how exactly, because we know with opening a business for some persons, we need a little money to put in before we actually start making money that the company can fund itself. So where exactly can someone get a business grant, and what is some advice you have for persons who are exploring the option of starting a business?
But I can't tell you where to get the business grant now, because I know several companies that generally give grants because of COVID. And as a business owner, as somebody who runs a business, generally prior to this, we supported a whole lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses and all of that. So our grants have been cut off like several other companies. So we maybe can speak about that thereafter. But the tip generally for persons who are interested in starting a business, you have your income. and you're wondering how you're going to start. Some of the businesses that you need to start does not require a heavy capital. Yeah. And sometimes you need to just talk it through with somebody. Sometimes we're in our own little picture, our own little frame, and there's no one to tell us, here what, you can start from this point onward. So the first thing, to talk it through with somebody. Evaluate the type of business that you want to go into. Don't start a business because your friend starts a business. Don't start a business because somebody's in that kind of business. What you're starting has to be in line with what you sometimes love, what you have a passion for, because when business gets hard, and it will get hard, you're going to stop. You're going to stress out. If it's something that is not driving you, trust me. I've started several businesses, trust me, in my younger years, because I have the mindset, but it wasn't in an area of passion. You get what I say? So you need to understand, what am I good at? What are my passions? How can I make money from it? And number two, make sure the business can make some money. Don't just start the business because you want to say you are a business owner. Ensure it's lucrative, it can turn over the money, and all of that. Those are my little tips that I generally give to persons who say, Carlton, I want to start a business. Let me talk it through with you. What's the best case? What's the medium case? What's the worst case? You mentioned earlier, before I close off this point, that the person's income matches their expenses, so they're not saving and they want to go into business. If you cannot be disciplined enough to at least put in a little saving into the budget, you're not going to put the money into a business. So I want to get disciplined enough first to kind of start with at least a 2,000 a month. Show me a pattern that you are disciplined to put down something, because this tells me that you are not a disciplined person overall. And to run a business, you need to be disciplined.
Right. Thank you very much, Carlton. Anna, you have anything to add for the final point?
No, it's just simply to build on Carlton's point. It's just to do research. I said Carlton.
It's a cartel.
No, all right. My apologies if that's what came out. I intended to say Carlton. But yeah, it's just research. No matter what type of business you have to make sure you do the research. And this is the reason why a lot of businesses fail, is that you're too lazy to do the research. Plain and simple. You don't care to do the research. When I tell you, you need to go find out the legal implications of this business. When you tell you, oh, read this act to see what they say about this, you're too lazy to read the act. And you know what happens when you don't read the act, and some legal company, some law office come wile you up and tell you, you better stop this right now, or the government, worst case, the government comes and attacks you. That's when your business has to be closed down, because you never took the time to do the research. The next thing is that you never really thought through this business. You have this general idea, sure, but in terms of the actual process, you have to go down to the small details. How does the actual process work? Like, you advertise on Instagram, somebody reaches out to you and say, oh, I'm interested. What do you offer? You can only tell them the mission statement that you have. That don't make any sense at all. You have to really think through it. Well, again, you can get my book, The Big Bad Book of Everything. It has a whole thing in there to tell you what you need to answer, the questions you need to answer before you decide to go into business. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say on that topic.
All right, thank you so much, Anna and Carlton. So we are at the end of our session. I'd just like to thank everyone who joined us on the YouTube Live. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for being so responsive in the chat. Guys, they're over there telling us about the things, they're raving with us. They're laughing at some of the comments that you guys make. It's just been a very good vibe over there. So thank you, YouTube community. And I'd just like to invite everyone to complete our post-event form for the opportunity to also get a copy of the Big Bad Book of Everything. So the link is in the YouTube chat for you to complete. So just as well to announce the winners. So we had Cabrina Martin, who won for the first segment. So congratulations, Cabrina. And for the second segment, we have JH. JH, you are the winner. You said unit trust, ETFs, and stocks. So that's good. Thank you guys so much. Again, so I'm pretty much, I'm not sure if Matthew has any final words, but that was my vote of thanks for today. And, I really appreciate these segments, these opportunities for us as young people to learn and just to impart knowledge for us to learn on better management of money, because this is not something that we learn in school. They don't teach us financial literacy. And a lot of us leave university and just make a lot of mistakes that we have to fix later down in life. So thank
Really
you
down
guys so
in life.
much. And Matthew, I don't know if you have any few words just to close off, but I was your host for today, Brithney Clarke, and it was a great session.
All right, Britney, I just wanted to have those winners know that they can send an email to matthew.ferguson@moey.gov.jm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we will sort everything out in order to get the books to them. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me just point out.
So Matthew, if you can post it in the YouTube chat so that they can see it, and then don't close it until they've acknowledged, just to ensure that they see. Because I don't know how to get in contact with people from YouTube.
All right, we'll have that pinned in the chat.
Okay.
All right, so that's all I have to say aside from awesome job, Britney.
Yes.
Awesome content shared, Carlton and Anna. And thank you again for taking this opportunity to share this knowledge with our young people. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yes. And thank you, Matthew. And on behalf of me to J-TEC, thank you guys for putting on this initiative and looking forward to the next one. So yes.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Enjoy.
guys.
Stay safe.
Have a good one, everyone. Have a good one.